$237. That's what's sitting in a retirement account you opened at 23 after a random conversation at a family dinner. You told yourself you'd figure it out later. You never did. You haven't logged in since. The password is probably still your old pet's name with a number tacked on the end. That $237? It's parked in something ultra-safe, barely earning anything, fractions of a percent a year. You don't know that. You don't even know what it's invested in. You're 25 now, and retirement feels like a distant concept reserved for people decades older than you. It doesn't feel urgent. It doesn't feel real. And that, right there, doing nothing, is quietly one of the most expensive decisions you'll ever make. In your 20s, the battle is invisible. You're earning maybe $44,000 a year, give or take. After taxes, rent, student loans, and all the small subscriptions you forgot to cancel, you're left with maybe $200 by the third week of the month. Retirement doesn't feel like a priority. It feels like a luxury you can't afford. But here's the part no one emphasizes enough. The years when you feel the most financially stretched are the years that matter the most. If you invested just $5,500 at 23 and never added another dollar, it could grow to over $175,000 by your late 60s, assuming a long-term return around 7%. That's not hype. That's just math doing its job over time. But instead, that money goes elsewhere, a trip, a few upgrades to your lifestyle, things that feel meaningful in the moment but fade faster than you expect. Meanwhile, your retirement account sits there, untouched, barely growing. Your workplace offers a retirement plan. You enrolled, technically. You selected the default option, maybe 3% or 4% because it was easy. You don't know what it's invested in. You've never checked the balance. It might be a couple $1,000s now, maybe less. It doesn't feel like much, so it doesn't get your attention. That's the trap. In your 20s, time is the single most powerful asset you have, and it's also the easiest one to waste because no one is forcing you to act. By your late 20s, something shifts. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a late-night search that leads you to a compound interest calculator. Maybe it's just the realization that 30 isn't far away anymore. You log back in. You see the number, small, almost disappointing, and for the first time, it bothers you. So you act. You move a couple $1,000s into the account. It doesn't feel dramatic, no celebration, no visible change, just a transfer and a slightly lower checking balance. But behind the scenes, something important has started. The clock is finally working for you. You begin to understand the basics, contribution limits, tax advantages, employer matching, and then you realize something uncomfortable. You've been missing out on free money. If your company matches 4% and you've been contributing less, you've been leaving hundreds, maybe thousands on the table every year. So you adjust, you increase your contribution, you set up automatic transfers, you pick a simple investment, something broad, something consistent, and you let it run. By the time you're pushing 30, your accounts cross 5 figures, maybe $11,000, maybe a little more. It doesn't feel life-changing, but what you've actually built is momentum, a system, something that grows even when you're not paying attention. Then come your 30s. This is where things get dangerous, not because everything falls apart, but because everything feels fine. Your income increases, you're more stable, maybe you're making $80,000 or more. You upgrade your lifestyle. Better apartment, reliable car, maybe a partner, maybe a child. Responsibilities grow. Your retirement accounts keep increasing, just not aggressively, maybe 7% or 8% of your income. It feels reasonable. You tell yourself you'll increase it later. This is the competence trap. You're doing well enough that you stop questioning whether you're doing enough. Expenses expand to match your income. Housing, childcare, insurance, things that weren't even on your radar a few years ago. And suddenly, increasing your savings rate feels harder than it should be. At some point in your mid-30s, you sit down and run the numbers, really run them. You project forward, and the result looks okay at first glance, maybe a little over $1 million by retirement. But then you adjust for inflation, and that number shrinks in real terms. What looked like security starts to feel tight. You realize you're not behind exactly, but you're not as far ahead as you thought. That's when the shift happens again. You start treating lifestyle inflation differently, not as a reward, but as something that quietly taxes your future. By your late 30s and early 40s, you have an opportunity, a window. Some expenses ease, maybe childcare costs drop, maybe your income is at its strongest yet. For the first time, you have real breathing room. And if you use it intentionally, everything accelerates. You increase your contributions significantly. You aim for 15% or more. You max out tax-advantaged accounts when possible. You even start investing outside of retirement accounts for flexibility, money you can access earlier if needed. Your balances start to grow faster now, not just from your contributions, but from the accumulated base. Crossing $200,000 doesn't feel like a finish line. It feels like stability, like something solid has finally been built. By your 40s, the path splits. Some people arrive with strong momentum. Others arrive with very little saved, for reasons that are often completely human, life events, setbacks, things that couldn't be predicted. If you're starting later, the approach changes. It becomes more focused, more deliberate, higher contributions, tighter spending, fewer distractions. The window is smaller, but it's still open. In your 50s, the strategy evolves again. Income is often at its peak, expenses may start to decline, and now decisions around taxes, withdrawals, and timing become just as important as saving. You think about risk differently, not just market risk, but timing risk. What happens if the market drops early in retirement? How do you protect yourself? You build buffers, cash reserves, stable assets that don't fluctuate the same way. You also start planning withdrawals, converting certain accounts to reduce future tax burdens, positioning yourself so that your money lasts, not just in theory, but in reality. And eventually, the math becomes clear. Your investments generate income, your benefits add to it, and if your passive income exceeds your expenses, you've reached something more meaningful than a number. You've reached independence. The final day of work doesn't feel dramatic, it's quiet, routine. You leave the building the same way you entered it years ago, but everything is different, because now your time belongs to you. And the question that follows isn't about money anymore, it's about meaning. What do you do with your days when they're fully yours? That answer doesn't come from a spreadsheet, it comes from everything you built along the way, not just financially, but personally. Because the real story isn't about turning a few $100s into millions. It's about turning small, consistent decisions into a life where you get to choose what comes next. Anyway, if you found this helpful, consider subscribing for more videos on personal finance, investing, and financial freedom. Are you behind on retirement or just getting started? This video breaks down retirement planning at every stage of life, from your 20s to your 60s, and shows you exactly what to do, when to do it, and why it matters more than you think. Most people ignore retirement in their 20s, feel probably fine in their 30s, panic in their 40s, and try to catch up in their 50s. But the truth is, small decisions early can turn into financial freedom later. In this video, you'll learn how compound interest really works over decades, the biggest retirement mistakes people make in their 20s and 30s, how to increase your savings rate without sacrificing your lifestyle, why employer match is free money you can't ignore, the strategy shift in your 40s and 50s, how to prepare for retirement income, taxes, and risk, when to claim Social Security for maximum benefit. This is not just about money, it's about building a life where your time belongs to you. Whether you're just starting or trying to catch up, this guide will change how you think about retirement. I just want to take a moment to genuinely thank you for being here and spending your time with me. In a world full of noise and distractions, the fact that you chose to listen, to learn, and to invest in yourself truly means more than you might think. I don't take your attention for granted, not even for a second. Every view, every minute you stay, every thought you reflect on, it all matters. And if something in this video helped you see money, discipline, or your future a little differently, then that means everything to me. If you found value in this, do me a small favor. Hit the like button so more people can discover this message. And if you're serious about improving your financial life and building long-term wealth, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss the next insight that could shift your mindset or change your strategy. And before you go, drop a comment and tell me one thing you're going to change after watching this, because real change starts with one decision.